Indigenous peoples in many places still hold on to unique and traditional ways of life, boasting rich cultural heritages and fascinating stories to explore. With today's resource exploitation, however, the modern world may no longer offer them the space in which to continue their ways of life. In January, the beach of Ouidah City in Benin bustles with tourists from all corners of the world. In the past, this place was an important hub for the slave trade, where merchants gathered African slaves and arranged their forced shipment to a new world. The resounding beats of drums rouse the indigenous voodoo worshippers, exciting them to partake in spirited dances. Covered in white powder and dressed in distinctive attire, they move in perfect synchrony to the pulsating rhythm, enveloping everyone in an aura of enchantment. This indigenous cultural heritage might have vanished without ongoing preservation efforts and perhaps the influence of tourism. Diego Narcis Stanislas, a voodoo worshipper, explains that on January the 10th, they come together to celebrate with a grand ceremony for their ancestors. He says that every African is born voodoo, which is why their ancestors were taken away to slavery. Now their spirits are returning to their families here.
I wanted to see for myself what voodoo really was. And here it's a national religion, and it's not the negative aspect of putting pins in dolls and working magic for evil. The people who practice voodoo are very lovely people. They're very kind.
The tourism industry is rapidly expanding all over the world, with the lifestyles of indigenous peoples emerging as prominent attractions. In Taiwan, the Formosan Aboriginal Cultural Village attracts visitors seeking to experience traditional dance and music performed by indigenous Taiwanese people. Similarly, in Tanzania, the Wanda villagers offer tourists a glimpse of their tribal life. Meanwhile, critics argue that this phenomenon is no different from human zoos. The use of indigenous entities for tourism is, however, a long-standing practice. During the 19th and 20th centuries, human zoos, or ethnological expositions, thrived as a lucrative business, showcasing indigenous ways of life. Tribal peoples were prompted to perform acrobatic feats or demonstrate hunting skills with arrows, aiming to elicit laughter and cheers from spectators in equal measure. As the modern world becomes increasingly conscious of human rights and embraces cultural diversity, the reprehensible practice of exploiting indigenous peoples for entertainment in human zoos is thankfully being phased out. Emerging forms of tourism that offer superficial interactions and inauthentic cultural experiences with indigenous people are, however, facing similar criticism. Critics argue that these programs, which prioritize photo opportunities over genuine cultural exchange, bear a striking resemblance to modern-day human zoos. For the Kayan tribe, a stack of bronze neck rings signifies beauty. This ethnic group, also known as the long-neck Karen, resides in the Kaya state of Myanmar. Contrary to the name, their necks aren't physically elongated. Instead, the prolonged wearing of heavy bronze neck rings pushes their shoulders down, creating the illusion of a longer neck. Driven by poverty and conflict in recent decades, Kayan women and girls have sought refuge by crossing the border into Thailand. There, purpose-built villages cater to tourists, offering opportunities for the Kayan people to pose for photographs as a means of earning income. Mupa, a Kayan woman, is one such example. After spending 14 years working in these tourist villages, Mupa decided to return to her home in Kaya State. Embracing her cultural heritage in a different way, she now runs a small handicrafts shop to sustain herself, having forsaken the neck rings that once fascinated tourists. Mupa expresses her aspiration for flourishing tourism in her village, with the hope of offering opportunities for Kayan women currently working in Thailand to return home. Payo Wayazar, chairman of Myanmar Tourism Marketing, also emphasizes the importance of ethical tourism. He discourages practices reminiscent of human zoos, where indigenous individuals pose for photographs in exchange for money. Instead, he advocates for supporting the Kayan people by purchasing their products, including food, handicrafts, and souvenirs. The new generations of Kayan women are progressively eschewing the tradition of wearing neck rings. Mupa hopes that her small business will be successful enough to avoid the need to seek work abroad. Whether or not she chooses to wear the neck rings again in the future, her story serves as a testament to the Kayan people's ability to pursue diverse careers beyond those in tourist attractions. While there are currently no universally accepted standards for precisely defining indigenous peoples and cultures, some common characteristics bind them together. These include possessing their own distinct language, culture, and territory. Their ways of life are intricately linked to agriculture and hunting, with the forest serving as their home, source of sustenance, and cherished heritage. According to the United Nations, there are over 476 million indigenous people living in 90 countries across the world, accounting for 6.2% of the global population. These people belong to more than 5,000 distinct groups. An estimated 100 uncontacted tribes remain in existence worldwide, according to Survival International, an organization advocating for indigenous and tribal people's rights. These uncontacted groups primarily reside in remote and inaccessible regions such as the Amazon rainforest, the Congo Basin, and the islands of New Guinea, including some inhabiting India's Andaman Islands. The enigmatic lifestyles of the uncontacted tribes have an allure that draws many to seek out a first-hand glimpse of their existence. In November 2018, a tragic incident captured global attention, following the death of John Allen Chow, a 27-year-old American who was reportedly killed by arrows after illegally landing on North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. This remote island is home to the Sentinelese, the most isolated tribe in the world. For tens of thousands of years, these tribal people have chosen to live in complete isolation on this small island, part of India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands territory, which is roughly the size of Manhattan. John's attempt to spread Christianity not only shed light on one of the world's most enigmatic tribes, but also resulted in the arrest of 7 fishermen who facilitated his unauthorized journey to the Forbidden Island. They were charged with complicity in murder and violating laws protecting indigenous tribes. In a world driven by scientific advancement, the Sentinelese tribe stands in stark contrast. Their fierce resistance to outsiders sparked debate over the best way to ensure the survival of their cultural identity. Should they open their doors to the outside world, or persist in isolation, rejecting all contact? Beyond the threats posed by tourism and the curiosity of outsiders, who often perceive themselves as more civilized, indigenous peoples worldwide are facing another major threat: encroachment on their ancestral lands and traditional livelihoods. Paul Mayer, the tribal leader in Indonesia, believes that the central government should prioritize cultural needs by working with local communities to understand their aspirations. Indonesia is renowned as one of the world's largest palm oil producers. The ever-growing demand for palm oil has driven the expansion of plantations, encroaching upon indigenous territories and jeopardizing their ways of life. Over the past decades, Indonesia has witnessed the devastating loss of vast swathes of forests due to the relentless expansion of palm oil plantations. Fueled by high demand, corporations and businesses have seized control of pristine forests, ruthlessly clearing them to cultivate palm oil.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
The Orang Rimba, an indigenous group residing in Jambi province on Sumatra Island in Indonesia, exemplify the devastating consequences of deforestation. For them, the forest is their lifeline, providing sustenance, shelter, and the very essence of their traditional existence. As the forests are decimated, their way of life crumbles along with them. Orang Rimba in Indonesian means people of the jungle. They are the last island tribe living in nature here. Unlike others, the Orang Rimba lack cultural products to sell to tourists, so they must find alternative means for survival. Some members of the tribe have chosen to abandon their traditional beliefs and convert to Islam. This allows them access to government healthcare and education, and potentially official identification documents, like other Indonesians.
Babi juga sudah langka kini itu, Bu.
Ma'il, the tribe's leader, reveals that wild boars are now rare, reflecting on a time when their forest was intact and hunting was plentiful. With the loss of their habitat, they now face limited options, and the scarcity of prey leads to starvation.
Alhamdulillah, Bu.
Meanwhile, Mohammed Yusuf, a local community leader, expresses gratitude for the government's newfound attention on their community. He says that prior to their conversion to Islam, they received little to no consideration from authorities.
Saya juga kasihan karena
Additionally, Ali Maskur, an Islamic teacher, says he empathizes with those who seek to learn about Islam, noting the lack of support from authorities for their pursuits. For the Orang Rimba peoples, conversion to Islam isn't a rejection of their ancestral animistic beliefs. Rather, they view it as an extension of their existing worldview, allowing for a smooth integration of the new faith into their lives. When they embrace modern-style clothing, they distinguish themselves from fellow tribal members who visibly opt for traditional lifestyles. These adaptations represent the Orang Rimba's response to threats posed by encroachment on settled communities, potentially jeopardizing the cohesion of their tribe. In the global narrative, tribes and indigenous peoples are stepping out of obscurity, their stories gaining broader acknowledgement. Beyond mere recognition, however, these communities require protection. Without effective safeguards, their stories could well disappear forever.